Well, now, there's one trend that I hope is not becoming a big trend that I'm hearing about these days, which is I've had a lot of younger mixers ask me, are you really still mixing anything? I mean, I hear about this mix track. I'm really just turning in all the ISOs because I'm hearing from post that they don't even listen to the mix track, okay? So this raised a red flag that so I started talking to people, and I realized, again, it's not the majority of people in post, but they still value the mix track. There's still a whole lot of reasons why we need to mix. Even if you're doing a complicated scene with 12 wireless and all, you still have to learn how to mix that as best you can, because it's that mix that's going to ride along with the picture edit. It's that mix that's going to be heard at dailies, if anybody even goes to dailies anymore. Everyone on the day needs to hear something. You can't ask them to mix all those ISOs to their Comtech. Somebody's got to do that. At the very least, a monitor mix so they can hear the scene. Because none of them are on the set. They're all back in Video Village, shrouded in canopies and looking at monitors and all. If they don't hear everybody, so your mix has to be something better than just everybody at unity gain so they hear everything. But this trend where there are people in post saying, we don't listen to your mix, the underlying sentiment is, we've listened to the mix and it's horrible.
Right.
It doesn't do us any good. Well, I understand entirely why it's horrible. Because if you've got 12 wireless out there and you're doing a scene that maybe wasn't even rehearsed, and the director has given the actors the freedom to do whatever they want, there isn't anything like, well, somebody's off camera, so let's not overlap until we get to your coverage, because who knows, that person at any minute may be on camera, somebody's camera of the 3 or 4 cameras that they're shooting.
Exactly.
Because you're shooting your all-inclusive shot and all of your coverage all at once. The chance, no matter how good you are as a mixer, the chance of getting a mix that really works for even 1 or 2 of those cameras, forget perspective. I mean, forget that. That's out the window. You've got no perspective anyway because they don't have mics on them. What are you going to mix? So you end up really with like a slop track, which has gotten the name. Well, that's just the mix track, and I can understand why people in post are not listening to it, but they're faced with the task of going into all the ISOs and getting the first ever mix, because the mix that you did on the set doesn't work and isn't useful for anybody except maybe for the picture editor to start getting their work done. And the people in post are having to do all of this on an incredibly shortened delivery schedule where they've got 2 days to mix an entire episode or something. It's a miracle that anything gets on the air that you can listen to. The situation that the production sound mixer in many cases is put into and has to sort of fight their way through, and the situation that the post people find themselves in, because they're the recipients of all this crap that they've got to mix before they even know what they've got.
Because they had how it would have been originally shot if it was just one camera, and they would have got.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me give you another quick example. There was I'm a member of the Editors Guild also, so I get the Editors Guild magazine, which is a really good magazine, a lot of good articles. They did an article with 3 old-time picture editors. These are people that did stuff with John Ford and stuff like that. And they said, and this was actually prior. The article was written prior to the whole digital revolution, so they were still talking about film,
right.
Shooting film, but that business of multiple cameras and all, it was, the film cameras were getting cheaper and cheaper to rent film cameras. Raw stock was not, basically the crew and the raw stock and the cameras were the least of their expenses. Their big expenses were the cost of the actors, location fees, the cost of the money that they borrowed to make the movie, all those things were much bigger. So they could shoot 2 and 3 cameras, and they felt like, we could make the schedule by shooting 2 or 3 cameras. Well, these editors were saying, in the old days, they get like 5,000 or 6,000 feet of dailies, on a good day, and they break it all down. They break down the day, they put it all together, sync it up and everything so they can see dailies. Then we'd come back to the editing room, they break it all down, they'd start putting the scenes together. They said, now we can get like 30,000 feet of dailies, and we don't know what to do with any of it. They have to start figuring out what were they going for? What is the shot supposed to be doing? Now in the digital age,